The fluorescent lights hummed in the empty corridor of Blackwood Security Solutions. 3 in the morning. Austin, Texas. The kind of hour when the world belongs to janitors and ghosts. Sarah Vance moved through the armory with methodical precision. Her mop traced wide arcs across the concrete floor, leaving streaks of diluted bleach that caught the overhead lights like oil on water. She wore the same navy coveralls as every overnight maintenance worker in every industrial building across America. Anonymous, forgettable, exactly how she wanted it. The smell of gun oil hung thick in the recycled air. 43 rifles lined the wall racks, 18 handguns secured in the display case. Sarah knew the count without looking. She had memorized the inventory 3 weeks ago on her second shift. Old habits never died. They just went underground. She paused beside a workbench where someone had field-stripped a Glock 19 and left it overnight. The slide sat at an odd angle. The recoil spring guide had been forced in backward. Amateur work. The kind of mistake that got people killed in places where mistakes mattered. Her hand moved without conscious thought. Fingers found the slide release, ejected the spring, reversed it, reassembled the pistol in 8 seconds flat, placed it back exactly as she had found it, except now it would actually function if someone needed it to. She returned to mopping. The motion soothed her. Forward, back, rhythm without thought, the same way she ran every morning at 5, the same route, the same pace. 7.3 miles through the empty streets east of downtown, the same breakfast afterward. Black coffee, 2 eggs, wheat toast, cash only at the same diner. Routine was armor. Variation drew attention. Attention invited questions. Questions led to answers she could not afford to give. The security camera in the northeast corner tracked her movement. She had noted its sweep pattern on her first night. 45-second intervals. Predictable. She stayed in frame, never hiding, never performing. Just another invisible woman doing invisible work in the hours when the visible world slept. What the camera could not see was the way her eyes cataloged every detail. The crack in the door seal that would whistle in high wind. The floor vent with loose screws that rattled when the heating system cycled. The placement of fire extinguishers. Exit routes. Choke points. Fields of fire. A door opened somewhere behind her. Footsteps approached. Measured, purposeful, male. Approximately 185 pounds based on the pressure sound against tile. Sarah did not turn. She kept mopping. Marcus Reeves appeared in her peripheral vision, head of night security, former Marine Scout sniper. 42 years old according to the employee roster she had glimpsed in the break room. He carried himself with the particular stillness of men who had learned to wait in uncomfortable places for dangerous things to happen. His uniform was pressed. His boots were polished. His eyes were the problem. They watched her too carefully. "Evening," he said. Sarah nodded, did not speak. She had cultivated a reputation for silence over the past month. Polite, professional, mute. The less she said, the less anyone remembered about her. Marcus stood there for another 10 seconds. She felt his gaze move from her face to her hands on the mop handle, assessing, measuring. Then he walked away, his footsteps fading down the corridor toward the break room. Sarah exhaled slowly through her nose. The autonomic nervous response was already settling. Heart rate dropping back to resting, hands steady. She had learned a long time ago how to keep her body calm when her instincts screamed warnings. Survival was a discipline. Fear was just another variable to control. She finished the armory at 3:45, locked the storage closet, clocked out at 3:58, walked 6 blocks to the bus stop, rode the number 12 to her studio apartment in a complex that rented by the week, and did not ask questions about people who paid 3 months in advance. The apartment was spare, a mattress on the floor, a lamp, A folding table, 2 changes of clothes in the closet, nothing on the walls, no photographs, no personal items. The rent was paid through a preloaded debit card issued under a name that did not quite match her birth certificate but matched her tax documents well enough that no one looked twice. She had lived this way for 5 years. Different cities, different jobs, always overnight shifts, always cash, always alone. The routine was not a life, it was a holding pattern, waiting for something she could not name, running from something she could not escape. She showered, made coffee, sat at the folding table as dawn light began to filter through the single window. Outside, Austin was waking up, traffic building on the interstate. The first joggers hitting the trail along the river. Normal people living normal lives in a normal world where the past stayed buried and the dead stayed dead. Sarah envied them more than they would ever know. Her phone buzzed, a text from the Blackwood shift supervisor, routine scheduling update. She deleted it without reading the details. Then she noticed the notification underneath. An email. The address was her work account. The subject line was blank. The sender was listed as package delivery confirmation. She opened it. No message, just a tracking number. UPS. Delivered to Blackwood Security Solutions at 2:37 that morning. Addressed to Sarah Vance, night maintenance. Her coffee went cold in her hand. No one sent her packages. No one knew her work address. She had specifically avoided listing it on any forms. She received no mail, no deliveries, nothing that could create a data trail connecting her current identity to any previous location. Someone knew where she was. She sat motionless for 3 minutes running scenarios, mistaken delivery, wrong Sarah Vance, clerical error, but the specificity bothered her, night maintenance, not just her name, her exact position, that required knowledge, intent. Sarah stood, dressed in her running clothes, laced her shoes with the particular care of someone performing a pre-combat ritual. Then she ran her route, 7.3 miles, same pace, same turns, but her mind was elsewhere, cycling through lists of people who might have found her. The list was short. Most of them were dead. The ones who were not dead had good reasons to leave her buried. She finished the run, showered again, ate the same breakfast at the same diner. The waitress knew her well enough to bring coffee without asking, but not well enough to attempt conversation. Perfect. At 2:30 that afternoon, Sarah returned to Blackwood. Early. She never came early. But the package was waiting, and waiting at home would not change what was inside it. Better to know. Better to control the variables. Marcus was already there, drinking coffee in the security office. He looked up when she entered, surprise flickering across his face. "You are early." Sarah nodded. She signed the logbook, headed toward the maintenance closet. Marcus followed. "Package came for you," he said. "Left it in the break room." Sarah stopped, turned to face him, met his eyes for the first time since she had started working there. "What package?" "Delivery guy brought it around 2 this morning. Had your name on it, night maintenance. I signed for it." His expression was neutral, but his posture was alert. He was waiting for her reaction, testing her. Sarah kept her face blank. "Thank you." She walked to the break room. The package sat on the table, small, rectangular, brown paper wrapping, no return address. Her name written in block letters with black marker. Sarah Vance, night maintenance. Blackwood Security Solutions. Marcus stood in the doorway watching her. "You going to open it?" Sarah stared at the package. Every instinct told her to walk away, leave it, disappear, catch a bus. New city, new name, new holding pattern, but running only worked if no one knew where to find you next, and whoever sent this had found her once. They could find her again. "No," she said. Marcus frowned. Why not? Because I know what it means. She left the package on the table, walked past Marcus, began her shift, cleaning, mopping, wiping down surfaces. The routine was impossible to maintain. Her hands moved through the motions, but her mind was miles away, running through faces and voices and moments she had spent 5 years trying to forget. 2 hours later, she returned to the break room. The package was gone. Marcus sat at the table. The brown paper wrapping lay torn beside him. In his hands he held a single item, a spent bullet casing, .50 caliber, polished to a mirror shine. He looked up when she entered. "What the hell is this?" Sarah did not answer. She could see there was more. A photograph lay face down on the table. Marcus picked it up, turned it over. His expression shifted from confusion to something harder to define. "Who are these people?" Sarah moved closer, looked at the photo. Her breath caught, but she did not let it show on her face. 8 people in desert camouflage, standing in harsh sunlight against a backdrop of tan earth and distant mountains. Military, combat zone. The faces had been blacked out with marker, all except one. A woman, younger than Sarah, was now smiling, dark hair pulled back in a regulation bun, lieutenant's bars on her collar. Sarah's face. Marcus set the photo down carefully. Beside it was a handwritten note on white paper, block letters, same pen as the address. 7 caskets, 1 empty. Why? "You want to tell me what this is about?" Marcus's voice was quiet, controlled, the tone of someone who had asked questions in rooms where the wrong answer carried consequences. Sarah picked up the bullet casing, turned it over in her palm. The weight was familiar, the shape, the specific dimensions of a round designed to penetrate armor at extreme range. Rafas MK-211, multi-purpose, explosive, illegal in most contexts. Standard issue in very specific units that operated in very specific places. "Dead people," she said finally. "The note says 7 caskets, 8 people in the photo." Sarah set the casing down. "You need to forget you saw this." "Who were they?" "I told you, dead people." Marcus leaned back in his chair. His eyes never left her face. "The note asks about 1 empty casket. There are 8 people, 7 caskets. Math says 1 person did not get buried." Sarah said nothing. "Which one?" Marcus pressed. She met his gaze, held it, let him see just enough truth to understand the conversation was over. "Mine," she said. The word hung in the air between them. Marcus processed it. She watched his mind work through the implications. Military photo, combat zone, 7 dead, 1 survivor standing in front of him mopping floors at 3 in the morning. The logical conclusions lined up like dominoes. "You are not who you say you are." "No one is," Sarah said. "We are all just the stories we tell about ourselves." "That is not an answer. It is the only one you are getting." She picked up the photo, the casing, the note, folded them carefully and placed them in her pocket. The brown paper wrapping she left on the table, evidence of nothing, just trash. Marcus stood, blocked the doorway, not aggressive, just present, immovable. "I looked into you after you started. Basic background check. Everything came back clean. Social security number, employment history, references, but it was too clean, like someone built it from scratch." Sarah had expected this. Good security personnel noticed inconsistencies. Marcus was very good. "Are you going to fire me?" "I am trying to decide if I should call the police." "And tell them what? That your janitor received a mysterious package, that her background check passed but you have a bad feeling." Marcus considered that. "Who sent this?" I do not know. But you know what it means. Yes. Are you in danger? Sarah almost laughed. Danger was such a relative term. She had lived in danger for so long it had become baseline, normal. The absence of danger would feel strange. Probably. From who? From someone who wants to remind me that the dead do not always stay buried. She moved toward the door. Marcus did not stop her. She brushed past him into the corridor. Her shift stretched ahead. 4 more hours of cleaning, of routine, of pretending the world was still the same as it had been yesterday. But it was not the same. The package had changed everything. Someone knew where she was. Someone knew her name, not the name on her employment file, her real name. The one that belonged to a woman who had been declared killed in action 5 years ago in a place that officially never existed during an operation that had never happened. She finished her shift in silence. Marcus watched her from a distance but did not approach again. At 7:58 she clocked out, walked to the bus stop, rode home. The package contents felt heavy in her pocket, physical weight measured in ounces, emotional weight measured in years. In her apartment, she spread the items on the folding table. Photo, casing, note, 3 pieces of a puzzle she had hoped would stay scattered forever. The bullet casing caught the morning light, 50 caliber, Raufoss. Only one person on her team had used these rounds, Sergeant Kate Brennan, spotter, best friend. The woman Sarah had trusted more than anyone in her life. Kate who had died in the ambush. Kate whose casket had been closed. Unidentifiable remains, the report had said. The kind of lie the government told when the truth was too complicated or too damaging to acknowledge. But Kate had not used Raufoss rounds. She had preferred standard ball ammunition. Reliable, predictable. This round belonged to someone else. Someone who had access to specialized equipment. Someone who knew Sarah well enough to understand she would recognize the significance. Sergeant Dylan Cross, demolitions expert, the quiet one, the one who never complained, never questioned orders, never drew attention. Dylan who had been pronounced killed in action. Dylan whose casket had also been closed, unidentifiable remains. Sarah picked up the note, 7 caskets, 1 empty. Why? 8 team members, 7 declared dead, 1 survivor, her. The math was simple, but the question was not about math. It was about intention, about choices made in moments when every option led to death, about survival and guilt and the particular burden of being the one who walked away. She had not walked away, she had been pulled away, reassigned at the last minute to a different operation, a routine supply escort that had kept her 300 miles from the ambush site when it happened. By the time she learned what happened, her team was gone, scattered across a desert battlefield, collected in pieces, boxed, shipped home, buried with honors and lies. The Navy had offered her a choice: accept the KIA designation, disappear, let the operation stay buried, or fight it, demand an investigation, watch her career end and accomplish nothing because the people who ordered the ambush had more power than one junior officer could ever challenge. She had chosen survival, chosen invisibility, chosen to become a ghost haunting janitorial supply closets and overnight shifts. It had seemed like the smart choice at the time, the safe choice. Now someone was telling her the choice had been wrong, or incomplete, or based on false information. 7 caskets, 1 empty. What if one of the bodies had been misidentified? What if someone else had survived? What if the guilt she carried, the burden of being the sole survivor, was based on a lie? Sarah's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stared at it, let it ring 4 times before answering. Silence on the other end, just breathing, shallow, controlled. Who is this? Sarah kept her voice flat. More silence, then a click. The line went dead. She set the phone down, picked up the photo again, studied the faces. Even blacked out, she knew each one, could name them, could remember their voices, their jokes, their families, the things they worried about, the things they hoped for. Lieutenant Sarah Vance, that was her, the only visible face. Sergeant Kate Brennan, spotter. Her face was covered, but Sarah could see her posture, relaxed, confident. Kate, who had pulled Sarah out of a firefight in Kandahar. Kate, who had taught her how to be still for 16 hours in a sniper hide. Kate, who was supposed to be dead. Sergeant Dylan Cross. Demolitions. Quiet. Methodical. The one who could disarm anything and build explosives from hardware store supplies. Dylan, whose hands never shook even when the timer read single digits. Dylan, who was also supposed to be dead. Corporal James Rivera. Medic, always reading. Philosophy, history, poetry. Strange things for a combat medic, but James said understanding death required understanding life. James, who had talked about medical school, about a different future. James, who never got to see it. The others blurred together in her memory, not because they mattered less, because remembering them hurt more, because 5 years of trying to forget had eroded the details. Faces became impressions, voices became echoes, people became ghosts. Sarah stood, made coffee, sat back down. The routine was breaking. She could feel it fracturing. The careful construction of her invisible life was coming apart because someone had decided it was time. Someone who knew her, knew what she had lost, knew how to break her open with 3 items in a box. At 2 that afternoon, she did not go to work. Instead, she went to a storage facility on the south side of town. Unit 247, rented under another name, paid in cash. She had not opened it in 8 months. Inside was everything she had kept from her old life. Weapons, tactical gear, night vision, communication equipment, $200,000 in cash separated into vacuum-sealed bags, and 7 dog tags on a stainless steel chain. She had recovered them herself, traveled to each family, told them she had served with their son, their daughter, their husband, their wife, told them lies about heroism and sacrifice, taken the tags when no one was looking because the government would not return them and the families deserved something real to bury. 7 tags, 7 names, 7 ghosts. She lifted the chain, let the tags catch the light, each one stamped with a name and service number and blood type, evidence of lives lived, evidence of deaths denied. Sarah placed the chain in her pocket beside the photo and the casing and the note. Then she locked the unit, returned to her apartment, packed a bag, minimal, clothes, cash, fake IDs, the essentials of disappearance. But she did not disappear. Not yet. Because the question in the note was not rhetorical. It was an invitation. Someone wanted her to ask why. Someone wanted her to dig, to investigate, to uncover whatever truth had been buried with 7 caskets and 1 empty grave. At 6 that evening, Marcus called her. "You did not show up for your shift." "I quit." Silence on the line. Then why? "Because staying is more dangerous than leaving." "Sarah," Marcus's voice was different now, less formal, more personal. "I spent the day digging, really digging. The photo metadata, the casing, I have contacts, military contacts. I made some calls." Sarah said nothing, waited. "Operation Sandstorm," Marcus continued. "Syria, black site extraction, 2019. 8 personnel listed as KIA. The operation was classified, buried. Everyone involved was either dead or reassigned to places where they could not talk, except the files do not make sense. 7 bodies recovered, 8 personnel declared dead. The math does not work unless someone survived and was listed as KIA anyway." "You should stop digging." "Why?" because people who dig into sandstorm tend to have accidents. Is that a threat? It is a fact. Marcus was quiet for a moment. I found something else. One of the personnel files had a flagged notation. Sergeant Kate Brennan, spotter. Her body was recovered, but dental records were inconclusive. The file suggests they buried someone, but they were not sure it was her. Sarah's grip tightened on the phone. "Where are you?" Marcus asked. "Leaving." "Where?" "Somewhere the past cannot find me." That is not how the past works. It always finds you. The only choice is whether you face it or run from it. I have been running for 5 years. I am good at it. Then why did you stay this long? Why take a job? Why build even a fake life here? You could have kept moving, but you stopped. In Austin, at Blackwood, you stopped running and you waited, like part of you knew this was coming. Sarah looked at the bag on her bed. Packed, ready, she could be gone in 20 minutes. New city by midnight, new name by tomorrow, the pattern she had perfected. But Marcus was right. She had stopped, built something resembling stability, rented an apartment for 3 months instead of 3 weeks, kept the same job for 30 days instead of 3. She had been waiting, preparing, knowing on some level that the past was not finished with her. "I need to know who sent the package," she said finally. "Then let me help you find out." "Why would you do that?" "Because I spent 12 years in the Marines. I know what it means when your own people bury you alive. I know what it costs to survive when everyone you trust dies. And I know what it looks like when someone is carrying weight they should not have to carry alone." Sarah closed her eyes, tried to remember the last time someone had offered help without wanting something in return. The memory would not come. "There is a man," she said, "Colonel Raymond Hale, retired. He ran the operation. He signed the orders that sent us into Syria. He was the one who declared us all KIA. If anyone knows who survived, it would be him." "Where is he?" "Last I heard, Scottsdale, Arizona, private defense consultant, which means he sells access and information to whoever pays." "You want to go talk to him?" "I want to put a gun to his head and make him tell me the truth, but talking might work too." Marcus was quiet. Then, "I can get us there. I have a truck. We can leave tonight." "Why are you doing this?" "Because the right thing is not always the safe thing. And because I spent too many years taking orders from people who prioritized safe over right. I am done with that." Sarah opened her eyes, looked at the bag, at the door, at the life she had built from lies and routine and the careful discipline of invisibility. "If you come with me, there is no going back. These people do not forgive, they do not forget, they erase. Then we better make sure they do not get the chance." Sarah made her decision. "Pick me up at midnight. Do not come to my apartment. There is a gas station 3 blocks east. I will be there." She hung up, stared at the phone, wondered if she had just made the biggest mistake of her second life, or if maybe, finally, she was making the first right choice. At 11:45 she left the apartment, locked the door, did not look back. Routine was dead. The holding pattern was broken. Whatever came next would not be safe, would not be predictable, would not be anything like the 5 years she had spent learning to be no one. But maybe being no one was its own kind of death. Maybe survival required more than just breathing. Maybe it required facing the questions you spent years running from. Marcus pulled up at midnight in a black Ford F-250. No words. Sarah threw her bag in the back and climbed into the passenger seat. He pulled onto the highway heading west. They drove in silence for the first hour. Then Marcus spoke. "Tell me about Kate Brennan." Sarah watched the mile markers blur past in the headlights. She saved my life. Kandahar, 2018. Firefight, I was pinned down, surrounded. She walked into the kill zone and pulled me out. Took 3 rounds doing it, walked it off like it was nothing. You were close. Closer than I have been to anyone, before or since. If she is alive, where would she go? I do not know, but whoever sent that package knows, and they want me to find her, or find out what happened to her. The question is why. Marcus nodded, kept driving. The highway stretched empty ahead. Behind them, Austin disappeared into darkness. Ahead, somewhere in the desert between Texas and Arizona, answers waited, or more questions, or something worse than either. Sarah pulled out the photo, studied it in the dashboard light. 7 blacked-out faces, 1 visible, 7 caskets, 1 empty. The math that did not add up. The truth that had been buried under 5 years of lies. She had been running from this moment since the day she learned her team was dead. Running from the guilt, from the questions, from the possibility that she could have done something different, could have refused the reassignment, could have been there, could have died with them instead of living without them. But running only worked if the past stayed buried, and someone had just dug it up, polished it, packaged it, delivered it with a question that demanded an answer. Why? Sarah did not know yet, but she was going to find out, even if the answer killed her, even if it meant facing the man who had buried her once and might try to bury her again. Colonel Raymond Hale was waiting in Scottsdale, and Sarah Vance, the woman who was supposed to be dead, was coming for him with questions he would not want to answer. The empty highway stretched ahead into darkness. Behind them, the past was waking up, and ahead, somewhere in the desert night, 7 ghosts were waiting to see if their last surviving sister would finally come home, or if she would run one more time. Sarah looked at Marcus. Thank you. He glanced at her. For what? For not asking if I am sure about this. Are you? No, but I am doing it anyway. Marcus smiled. That is usually when things get interesting. The truck rolled west through the Texas night, and Sarah Vance, dead woman walking, ghost hunting ghosts, began the journey back to the place where everything ended, or where maybe, finally, something could begin. The question remained, 7 caskets, 1 empty, why? She would have the answer soon. Whether she survived learning it was another question entirely, but survival had never been the point. The point was the truth. The point was knowing. The point was giving the dead their due and the living their reckoning. And if that meant walking back into the fire that had tried to consume her once before, then she would walk, eyes open, hands steady, ready for whatever waited on the other side of the question someone had been kind enough or cruel enough to ask. Why? The Arizona sun rose like a copper coin over flat desert, turning the highway into a ribbon of molten light. Sarah had not slept. She sat in the passenger seat watching the landscape change from Texas scrub to New Mexico mesa to Arizona wasteland. Each mile marker was another step away from the life she had built and toward the past she had buried. Marcus drove with the steady focus of someone accustomed to long hauls and short sleep. He had stopped once for gas and coffee. Sarah had stayed in the truck. Old habits, minimize exposure, limit the number of cameras that caught your face, stay invisible even when visibility no longer mattered. Scottsdale appeared on the horizon at 9 in the morning. Glass towers rising from desert floor. Golf courses green against brown earth. Money and water fighting entropy in a place that wanted neither. The kind of town where retired military officers became defense consultants and sold their connections to the highest bidder. Colonel Raymond Hale lived in a gated community north of the city. Marcus had pulled the address from public records, property tax documents. The house was registered to a consulting firm. Typical. Men like Hale never put their names on anything that could be traced back to decisions that might haunt them later. They parked 3 blocks away, surveilled the approach. The gate was manned, private security, 2 guards visible, professional bearing, former military most likely, men who had traded combat pay for retirement comfort and did not ask questions about who they were protecting or why. Sarah studied the perimeter, stone wall, 8 feet, security cameras every 30 yards, motion sensors likely. The kind of setup designed to keep out casual threats, not designed to stop someone with her training, but breaking in would announce her presence, would put Hale on alert, would waste the one advantage she had. He did not know she was coming. "We go through the front," Sarah said. Marcus looked at her. "They will call ahead, give him time to prepare." "Good, I want him prepared. I want him thinking he has control. People make mistakes when they think they are safe." "What if he does not want to talk?" "Then we make him want to." They walked to the gate. The guard stepped out of the booth, hand resting casually near his sidearm, professional, alert, unthreatened. "Can I help you?" Sarah met his eyes. "Tell Colonel Hale that Sarah Vance is here to see him." The guard's expression did not change, but something shifted in his posture. Recognition, not of her face, of her name. He had been briefed, told to watch for certain names, certain threats. Sarah Vance was on a list somewhere. "Colonel Hale is not expecting visitors." "Tell him anyway." The guard hesitated, spoke into his radio. Low tones. Sarah caught fragments. Name confirmed, 2 individuals, armed, status unknown. The response came back. The guard's face went carefully neutral. "He says you are dead." "He has been wrong before." Another pause, another radio check. Then the guard stepped aside. "He will see you, both of you, straight through, main house. He will meet you outside." The gate rolled open. Sarah and Marcus walked through. The road curved between manicured lawns and imported palm trees. The excess of men who had sent others to die in deserts while they lived in manufactured oases. The house was modern, glass and steel, sharp angles, the kind of architecture that said money but not taste. Hale stood on the front steps, 60 years old, trim, fit, gray hair cut military short. He wore khakis and a polo shirt, casual, unthreatened. His eyes tracked them as they approached. Sarah stopped 10 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to react if things went wrong. Hale stared at her for a long moment. His face was unreadable. Then he smiled. It did not reach his eyes. "I buried you." "You tried." "Officially, you are still dead. Your file says killed in action. Syria, 2019. There was a funeral your parents attended. Your father cried." "My father died when I was 12. Then someone who looked like him cried at a funeral for someone who looked like you. The point stands. You are supposed to be dead, yet here you stand." Sarah said nothing, let the silence stretch. Hale was talking too much, explaining too much, justifying. People who felt secure did not justify. "What do you want?" Hale asked. "To know who dug me up." Hale's smile widened slightly. "Wrong question, Lieutenant. You should ask why I let them." The words hung in the desert air. Sarah processed them. Let them. Not prevented them, not stopped them. Let them. Hale had known about the package, had allowed it, had perhaps even facilitated it. "Inside," Hale said. "We should talk where the cameras are not watching." He turned and walked into the house. Sarah glanced at Marcus. He nodded. They followed. The interior was cool, air conditioned against the desert heat, minimal furniture, expensive art that Hale probably did not appreciate. The office of a man who lived in hotels and considered home just another place to store the things he did not need but could not throw away. Hale led them to a study, closed the door, gestured to chairs. Sarah remained standing. Marcus positioned himself near the door, blocking exit, creating tactical advantage without making it obvious. Hale poured himself whiskey from a crystal decanter, did not offer any, sat behind a desk made from reclaimed wood and irony. "You look good for a corpse. You look guilty for a patriot." Hale laughed, genuine amusement, still sharp. "I always liked that about you. Most officers are too busy polishing their careers to sharpen their minds. You were different." "I was naive. I believed the mission mattered more than the politics. And now? Now I know the mission was the politics." Hale sipped his whiskey. "The package, you received it." Not a question, a statement, confirmation of what he already knew. "Who sent it?" Sarah asked. "I did not, but I knew it was coming." "From who?" "From the one who got away." Sarah felt her pulse spike but kept her face neutral. "Kate." "Maybe." "She is alive." "Define alive." "Breathing, thinking, hunting." Hale set down his glass, 2 out of 3. The phrase meant something. Sarah catalogued it, filed it, moved to the next question. "You knew there was an insider. You knew before the ambush." "I suspected." "But you sent us anyway." "I sent you to expose the insider. The ambush was the test. Whoever survived, whoever chose to survive, was clean." The words hit like physical blows. Sarah kept her breathing steady, kept her hands relaxed, but inside something was breaking. The careful control she had maintained for 5 years was fracturing. "7 people died for your test. And 1 insider was confirmed." Sarah leaned forward, hands on the desk, close enough to see the lines around Hale's eyes, the silver in his hair, the careful absence of guilt in his expression. "Who?" "I do not know. That is why you are here." "Bullshit." The insider used dead drop communications. Untraceable, old-school tradecraft, but they made one mistake. They survived, and now they are nervous. Marcus spoke from the door. "The package, they are drawing Sarah out." "No," Hale said, "they are drawing me out. Sarah is the bait." Sarah straightened, processed the implications. "You think the insider wants you dead?" "I know they do. 3 people connected to Sandstorm have died in the last 6 months. All accidents, all bullshit. The insider is cleaning house, eliminating anyone who might know their identity." "Then why am I still alive?" "Because you were not there, you were reassigned. Supply escort, 300 miles away when the ambush happened. To the insider, you are not a witness. You are a tool. They can use you to get to me." Sarah pulled out the photo, set it on the desk. 8 people, 7 faces blacked out, 1 visible, mine. Why? Hale picked up the photo, studied it. The blackouts were not done by government archivists. They were done by whoever sent this. They are protecting the faces, or hiding which one matters. Kate Brennan, her casket was closed. Dental records inconclusive. You buried someone, but you were not sure it was her. Hale nodded slowly. Kate was taken, prisoner, Taliban affiliate. CIA tried to recover her for 4 years, failed. 8 months ago she escaped. Alone, no extraction, no support, just walked out of captivity and disappeared. Where is she now? Unknown, but she has been busy. Hale opened a drawer, pulled out a folder, spread photos across the desk. 3 men, different locations, different causes of death, all within 6 months. Lieutenant Commander James Walsh, drowned in his pool. Blood alcohol twice the legal limit, except Walsh did not drink. Captain Robert Chen, car accident, brake failure, except Chen was a mechanic. He maintained his own vehicles. Major David Foster, fell from a hotel balcony. Suicide note, except Foster was left-handed and the note was written with his right hand. Sarah studied the photos. You think Kate killed them? I think Kate is being used. Someone is pulling her strings, the insider. They kept her alive as leverage. Against who? Against me. Marcus crossed his arms. Why would the insider target you? Hale stood, walked to the window, looked out at the manufactured desert garden. Because I ran the operation. Because I know things that could destroy careers, end programs, send people to prison. The insider needs me silent, permanently. Then why not just kill you? Sarah asked. They are trying, but I have resources, protection. I am harder to kill than some drunk officer or a mechanic who got careless. So they are using Kate, drawing me out, creating opportunities. And you want me to stop her? I want you to save her. The words surprised Sarah. She had expected many things from Hale: manipulation, lies, self-interest, not mercy. Why? Because Kate did not betray anyone. She was a soldier following orders. She got captured, tortured, broken. Now she is being weaponized against her own people. She deserves better. You left her in that hole for 4 years. I tried to get her back, every year, every channel, CIA, special forces, private contractors. No one could reach her. She was too deep, too isolated. Then she escaped, on her own. Do you know how strong you have to be to survive 4 years of captivity and still have the will to escape? Sarah knew. She had read the studies, survival rates, psychological damage. Most prisoners broke within months. The ones who lasted years came back as shells, functioning bodies with dead minds. If she escaped 8 months ago, where has she been? That is what I need you to find out. Hale returned to his desk, pulled out another folder, thicker. This is everything I have on Project Nightfall, my off-book POW recovery program. Ran it from 2020 to 2023, recovered 14 assets. Kate Brennan was number 15, but she escaped before my team could extract her. Why are you telling me this? Because someone inside Nightfall is the insider. Someone with access to files, locations, protocols, identities. They know where my operators are. They know how to find them, and they are using Kate to kill them. Sarah took the folder, flipped through it. Names, dates, locations, operational details, the kind of information that should be classified, that should never exist in physical form. Why keep records? Insurance. Proof that I was trying to do the right thing if anyone ever questioned my methods. Your methods got 7 people killed. My methods exposed an insider who would have killed more. War is mathematics, Lieutenant. You calculate acceptable losses. You make hard choices. You live with the consequences. Easy to live with consequences when they are not your body in the casket. Hale met her eyes. You think I sleep well. You think I do not see their faces. I gave the order. I knew it might be a trap. I sent them anyway because catching the insider mattered more than 8 lives. That calculus haunts me, but it does not make it wrong. Sarah wanted to hate him, wanted to rage against the cold logic, but she had been in command, had made similar choices on smaller scales. Knew the weight of decisions made in seconds that carried consequences measured in years. What do you want from me? Work with me, find Kate, find the insider, finish what Sandstorm started. Why should I trust you? Because I am the only one who kept you buried. If I wanted you dead, you would never have gotten that package. I could have had you killed years ago, quietly, easily, but I let you disappear, let you live, because I knew someday I might need someone clean, someone the insider did not control, someone who could move without triggering their network. Sarah closed the folder. You are using me. Yes, but I am also giving you the chance to save Kate, to expose the insider, to get justice for your team. Those things matter to you, they should. Marcus spoke from the door. What happens if we say no? Hale shrugged. You leave. You go back to whatever life you were living, and in a few months, maybe a year, Kate completes her programming. She kills me. Then the insider has her eliminated because she is no longer useful, and you spend the rest of your life knowing you could have saved her and chose not to. Sarah hated that he was right, hated that the choice was already made, hated that 5 years of running had led her right back to the place where running started. One more thing, Hale said. The shell casing, 50 caliber, Rafas Mk-211. Only one armory in CENTCOM had those in 2019, Kandahar. Kate never used Rafas. Sarah stopped at the door, turned back. But someone on your team did, Hale continued. Sergeant Dylan Cross, demolitions, pronounced KIA, closed casket. The name hit like electricity. Sarah kept her face neutral, but her mind was racing. Dylan, quiet, competent, the one who never drew attention, the one whose casket had been closed because the body was supposedly too damaged to identify. Dylan would not betray us. Then why is he using his signature round to contact you? Sarah had no answer. She walked out. Marcus followed. They did not speak until they were back at the truck. Do you believe him? Marcus asked. I believe someone wants me to. That is not an answer. Dylan Cross saved my life. Twice. Once in Kandahar when an IED failed to detonate because he had disarmed it before we even knew it was there. Once in Baghdad when a building we were searching was rigged to collapse. He found the charges, cleared them, got us out. He would not betray us. He could not. People change. Not like that, not Dylan. Marcus started the truck. So what do we do? Sarah pulled out her phone, opened the browser, accessed a dark web forum she had not visited in 5 years. Veterans only, encrypted, monitored by no one who mattered. She typed a message using codes only Sandstorm members would recognize. Raven seeks Crossfire, last light first watch. Raven was her call sign. Crossfire was Dylan's. Last light first watch was a rally point protocol. The message would either reach Dylan or it would reach someone who knew where Dylan was. Either way, it would get a response. Within an hour, the response came. Raven is dead. Crossfire is dead. Do not dig up graves. Sarah typed back. Graves are already open. Meet or they dig yours next. Long pause, then coordinates Amarillo, Texas, Cadillac Ranch, midnight tonight, come alone. Sarah showed Marcus the screen. That is a trap, he said. Yes. You are going anyway. Yes. Then I am coming. No, this time you are my exit strategy. Stay 500 meters back. Comms open. If I do not signal in 20 minutes, you call Hale. Tell him what happened. Make sure someone knows. Why Hale? Because if I am wrong about Dylan, Hale needs to know. And if I am right, Hale needs to be warned. Either way, he is the key. They drove back across the desert. The sun tracked west behind them. Long shadows stretched across empty land. Sarah watched the landscape blur past and thought about Dylan, about the man she had known, about the possibility that she had been wrong. That survival changed people in ways she could not predict. That 4 years in a Taliban hole could break even the strongest mind. They reached Amarillo at 11. The city lights were sparse against the dark plains. Cadillac Ranch sat on the outskirts, a tourist installation. 10 cars buried nose first in the dirt, covered in graffiti. Empty at night, perfect for a meeting no one wanted witnessed. Marcus parked half a mile away. Sarah checked her weapon, a Glock 19, clean, untraceable, loaded with hollow points. She did not expect to use it, but expecting and preparing were different disciplines. 20 minutes, she said. If I am not back, you know what to do. Sarah. She looked at him. Be careful. Careful does not get answers. She walked across the empty field. The Cadillacs rose like gravestones against the star-filled sky. No lights, no movement, just wind and darkness and the weight of questions carried across 5 years and 600 miles. A figure stepped from behind the furthest car, male, medium height, thin, moving with a slight limp. Sarah stopped 30 feet away, hands visible, weapon holstered but accessible. You came, the figure said, not Dylan's voice, younger, unfamiliar. Who are you? Someone who knows what you are looking for. Where is Dylan? Dead, really dead. I watched him die. Sarah's hand moved toward her weapon. The figure raised both hands. I am not armed. I am not a threat. I am just a messenger. Messenger for who? For someone who wants you to ask the right questions. What questions? Why did only one person refuse to be identified in that photo? Sarah processed the words. The photo, 8 people, 7 faces blacked out, 1 visible, hers, but the blackouts were not random. They were intentional, protecting someone or hiding someone. Who are you protecting? Not protecting, hunting. The figure tossed something. Sarah caught it, a phone, burner, cheap, disposable. Check the photos. Sarah opened the phone. 1 image, recent, clear, Kate Brennan, alive, thin, scarred, standing beside someone tall, male, face obscured by shadow, but the uniform was visible. U.S. military, current issue. Your insider is not hiding anymore, the figure said. They are rebuilding, and Kate is their weapon. The gunshot came from nowhere. The figure dropped, headshot, professional. Sarah dove behind the nearest Cadillac. More shots, precision fire, hurting her, forcing her to move. Marcus's voice crackled in her earpiece. Shooter, elevated position, 400 meters north. Sarah ran, low, fast, using the cars for cover. The shots followed. Not trying to kill, trying to control, to direct. She broke for open ground, heard the crack of rounds passing close. Too close for comfort, not close enough to be accidental. She reached Marcus at the truck. He had the engine running. They pulled out as more shots struck pavement behind them. Professional pursuit, coordinated, multiple shooters. Hail, Sarah said. He knew we would come here. He set this up. Why? To see who else would show, to flush out whoever is protecting me. Marcus drove hard, put distance between them and the kill zone. Sarah looked at the phone, the image of Kate, the shadowy figure, the uniform. She zoomed in, enhanced the image, looked for details, insignia, unit patches, anything that could identify the person standing with Kate. Nothing. Whoever took the photo had been careful, had framed it to show Kate clearly but keep her handler anonymous, deliberate, professional, the work of someone who understood how intelligence operated. Sarah opened the other files on the phone. More photos. Kate training with weapons. Kate in what looked like a compound, barbed wire, guard towers, military installation. Kate's face in each image. Hollow eyes, thin, scars on her arms, around her neck. The marks of prolonged captivity. The final photo stopped Sarah's breath. Kate holding a sign. handwritten block letters. He says hello. 2 words, simple, direct, but the meaning was layered. Kate was not free. She was still captured, still controlled. The escape was not escape. It was transfer, from one captor to another, from Taliban cell to someone else's operation. Sarah's phone rang. Unknown number, she answered. Silence, then breathing, shallow female. Sarah. The voice was broken, damaged but unmistakable. Kate. Where are you? Run. Kate, where are you? Does not matter, he knows everything. Your apartment, Marcus's family, the storage unit. He has had you the whole time. Who is he? I cannot, he is listening. Kate, I am coming for you. No, you cannot save me, but you can stop him. Ask Hale about Nightfall, ask him why he needs. The line cut, dead air. Sarah stared at the phone, replayed the conversation in her mind. He knows everything. He has had you the whole time. Someone had been watching, tracking, anticipating, playing moves ahead of her like chess. We need to go back, Sarah said. To Hale. To answers. But Marcus was already pulling over. Headlights filled the rear window, multiple vehicles, moving fast, boxing them in. Sarah reached for her weapon, but Marcus stopped her. Too many, we fight, we die. He was right. Sarah counted at least 3 vehicles, professional spacing, tactical approach. This was not ambush, this was capture. The vehicles stopped. Men emerged, military bearing, weapons ready but not aimed. The lead man approached, 50s, hard face, cold eyes. Lieutenant Vance, Colonel Hale requests your immediate return. There has been a development. Sarah stepped out of the truck, hands visible. What development? He will explain. You are not under arrest. You are not in danger, but time is critical. Sarah and Marcus were escorted back to Scottsdale. Different location this time. Not Hale's house. A building. Unmarked. Industrial. The kind of place that existed on no maps and housed operations no one acknowledged. Hale waited inside. He looked tired, older than he had that morning. Something had changed. Kate called you, he said, not a question. How did you know? Because she called me too. 30 seconds after she hung up with you. She told me where she is. Sarah felt her pulse spike. Where? Fort Huachuca, Arizona, old training facility, decommissioned, supposedly abandoned. But satellite imagery shows recent activity, vehicles, personnel. Someone is using it as a base. The insider. Yes, and Kate is there. She gave me coordinates, precise, specific. She wants us to come. It is a trap. Of course it is a trap, but it is also an opportunity. Kate would not risk calling unless she saw a window, a chance. She is still fighting, still trying to break free. Sarah studied Hale's face, looked for the lie, the manipulation, found something else. Desperation, fear, the emotions of a man watching his careful plans unravel. Why are you really doing this? Sarah asked. Because I made a mistake 5 years ago. I thought I could control the situation. Thought I could sacrifice 8 people to catch 1 traitor, but I was wrong. The insider was not on your team. They were in my command. Someone I trusted, someone close, and they have been hunting me ever since. Who? I do not know, but Kate does. She knows their face, their voice, their methods. She is the only witness. That is why they kept her alive, to control her, to use her, but also because killing her would confirm their identity. As long as she lives, I have to consider every possibility. Marcus spoke up. You want us to extract her? I want Sarah to try. Kate will not respond to my team. She has been conditioned against us, but Sarah is different. Sarah was not there. Sarah is not part of the betrayal. Kate might trust her. And if she does not, then we lose our only lead. The insider wins, and more people die. Sarah looked at the map on the table. Fort Huachuca, the coordinates Kate had provided, the kind of mission she had trained for, the kind of operation that got people killed when everything went perfect and everyone survived when logic said they should not. I need tactical support, equipment, extraction plan. You will have it, my team, my resources, whatever you need. And if I get Kate out, you promise her safety, protection, no interrogation, no detention. She gets medical care and psychological support and a chance to heal. Hale hesitated. I cannot promise that. She has killed people, American personnel. There will be consequences. Then I do not go. Sarah, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. Kate was a prisoner, tortured, broken, conditioned. She is not responsible for actions taken under duress. You want me to save her, you promise me she gets treated like the victim she is, not the weapon someone made her. Hale was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. Agreed, but you have to bring her in. No running, no hiding. She comes back, she gets help. That is the deal. Sarah extended her hand. Hale shook it. The compact sealed with a gesture older than either of them. Trust built on necessity. Alliance forged in desperation. When do we move? Sarah asked. Dawn, 6 hours. My team needs time to prep. You need rest. I do not need rest. I need answers, starting with who you think the insider is. Hale pulled up a file on his computer. These are the people who had access to Sandstorm operational details. 23 individuals, command staff, intelligence, logistics. I have been investigating them for 5 years. Eliminated 16. 7 remain, all currently active, all in positions of power. He showed Sarah the list. Names she recognized, faces she remembered, people she had served under, trusted, believed. It could be any of them, Hale said, or none of them. The insider might be someone I have not considered, someone outside the obvious chain. That is why Kate matters. She can identify them. Sarah studied the photos, tried to imagine which face belonged to betrayal, which smile hid murder, which voice had ordered her team into an ambush knowing they would die. The answer would not come from photographs. It would come from Kate. If Sarah could reach her, if Kate was still capable of trust, if the conditioning had not destroyed whatever remained of the woman Sarah had known. 6 hours, Sarah said, then we go. She walked to the window, looked out at the desert night. Somewhere in that darkness, Kate was waiting, trapped, scared, hoping for rescue or death. Sarah did not know which, did not know if Kate even knew anymore. But she would find out. She would go into that abandoned facility. She would face whatever waited there. She would bring Kate home or die trying. Because that was what soldiers did. They left no one behind, even when leaving them behind was easier, even when bringing them home meant walking into hell. Marcus approached. You do not have to do this. Yes, I do. Why? Because Kate pulled me out of a kill zone in Kandahar. Because she taught me how to be still when everything in me wanted to run. Because she was my friend and I was not there when she needed me most. I owe her. You do not owe her your life. Maybe not, but I owe her the chance, and that is what I am going to give her. The night stretched long. Sarah did not sleep. She reviewed maps, studied satellite imagery, memorized approach routes and fallback positions. The old training reasserted itself, the muscle memory of mission planning, the familiar comfort of preparing for violence with precision and care. At dawn, Hale's team assembled, 12 operators, all former special forces, all loyal to Hale, or so he claimed. Sarah trusted none of them, but she would work with them, use their support, take their cover fire, and watch her back every second. The briefing was short: infiltrate, locate Kate, extract, simple in concept, lethal in execution. The kind of mission where simple plans met complicated reality and people died in the gap between. Sarah checked her gear: weapon, ammunition, comms, night vision, flashbangs, zip ties, medical supplies, everything she might need, everything that might keep her alive long enough to complete the mission. Marcus stood beside her. "I am coming with you." "No, you are staying here. Someone needs to know what happened if this goes wrong." "Sarah." "That is an order." Marcus smiled. "You are not my commanding officer." "Then consider it a request from someone who needs to know you are alive when this is over." He nodded, stepped back, let her go. Sarah joined Hale's team. They loaded into vehicles, black SUVs, unmarked, the kind that moved through checkpoints without questions and disappeared into desert without trace. The drive to Fort Huachuca took 90 minutes. The facility loomed against morning sky, abandoned, decaying, razor wire rusted, buildings crumbling, but the satellite had not lied. Fresh tire tracks, recent footprints. Someone was using this place, someone who did not want to be found. The team spread out, established perimeter. Sarah moved with the lead element. Silent, professional, the old rhythms returning, the old instincts awakening. She was not a janitor anymore. She was Lieutenant Sarah Vance, Navy SEAL, operator, hunter. They breached the main building. Empty corridors, peeling paint, broken windows, no resistance, no guards, too quiet, too easy. Sarah's instincts screamed warning. This was wrong. Kate's coordinates had been too precise. The lack of security was too convenient. Someone wanted them here. Someone was watching. Then the voice came over speakers. Calm, controlled, familiar. "Hello, Sarah." Hale's voice, but wrong, too smooth, too curt. Sarah spun, looked at her team. They were not reacting, not surprised, not alarmed. Because they knew, they had been briefed. This was part of the plan. Sarah was the only one who did not know. The doors locked, automated, controlled remotely. The team backed away from her, weapons not raised but ready. Sarah was alone, surrounded, betrayed. Hale's voice continued. "You are predictable, Lieutenant. I knew you would come. Knew you would trust just enough to walk into the trap. Knew your loyalty to Kate would override your judgment." Sarah's hand moved to her weapon. The team responded. 12 barrels aimed. 12 professionals who would not miss. "Do not," Hale said. "You are valuable alive for now." The far door opened. A figure walked through. Female, thin, scarred, moving with mechanical precision. Kate Brennan, alive, armed, eyes empty. "Hello, Raven," Kate said, voice flat, emotionless. The voice of someone who had been broken and rebuilt wrong. Sarah lowered her hands. "Kate, it is me, Sarah." "I know who you are." "Then you know I am here to help." "You are here because he sent you, because you are predictable, because you still think loyalty matters." Kate raised her weapon, pointed it at Sarah's head. No hesitation, no emotion, just the mechanical efficiency of someone following programming. Sarah understood then. Kate was not captured, she was not waiting for rescue. She was the weapon Hale had warned about, the tool, the trap. And Sarah had walked right into it. But Kate's hand was shaking, just slightly, just enough to notice. The programming was not complete. Somewhere inside, the real Kate was fighting, resisting, trying to break through. Sarah spoke directly to that part, the part that might still remember. "Kate Brennan, Sergeant, SEAL Team 6 Support, Service number 447281. You are a United States sailor, not his weapon. Kate's hand shook harder, tears formed in her eyes. The gun wavered. For 5 seconds, maybe less, the real Kate surfaced. She mouthed 2 words, "I'm sorry." Then she turned the gun, away from Sarah, toward the wall, fired 3 rounds. The wall exploded. Not wall, door, hidden. Emergency exit. Kate grabbed Sarah, pulled her through. The team opened fire. Rounds tore through space Sarah had occupied seconds before. They ran, Kate led, through corridors, downstairs, into tunnels beneath the facility. Behind them, Hale's voice echoed, furious, desperate. "All units, Vance is escaping. Brennan is compromised. Terminate both." They ran through darkness. Kate knew the way, had memorized it during months of captivity, had planned this, had waited for the exact right moment, when Sarah would come, when the programming could be broken, when escape was possible. They emerged in desert scrub half a mile from the facility. No vehicle, no extraction, just empty land and the sound of pursuit behind them. Kate stopped, turned to Sarah. The emptiness was gone from her eyes, replaced by pain, awareness, the terrible burden of remembering what she had done while programmed. "I killed them," Kate said. "The Nightfall operators. Hale made me. I could not stop." "You stopped now. That is what matters. He has a failsafe. If I escape, if I turn against him, he triggers it." "Triggers what?" "Explosives. He rigged the facility. He knew I might break programming. He prepared for it. If he cannot control me, he destroys the evidence. The facility, me, you, everyone." Sarah heard engines, vehicles approaching, Hale's team, close, getting closer. "How long?" "He can trigger any time, remote from anywhere." Sarah pulled out the phone, called Marcus. "We are 1 mile east of the facility. 2 people. Need immediate extraction. We have maybe 5 minutes before everything goes boom." "On it." Sarah and Kate ran, across open desert, exposed, vulnerable, the sound of pursuit growing louder. Then the sound of a different engine, Marcus's truck, racing toward them across broken ground. He slid to a stop. Sarah and Kate jumped in. Marcus gunned the engine. Behind them the facility erupted. Not one explosion, multiple, sequential, designed to collapse everything inward, to bury evidence, to ensure no one walked out with answers. The shockwave hit, the truck rocked. Marcus fought for control, kept driving, put distance between them and the inferno. Sarah looked back. The facility was gone, replaced by smoke and fire and the kind of destruction meant to erase history. Hale had tried to kill them, had used Kate as bait, had set a trap within a trap, and Sarah had survived only because Kate had broken her programming at the exact right moment. Questions remained. Who was the insider? Why did Hale really want Kate? What was Project Nightfall actually about? But those questions would wait. Right now, Sarah had what she came for. Kate, alive, free, damaged but fighting. The empty casket had held a living woman, and Sarah had finally brought her home. The safe house was a ranch 40 miles south of the Arizona border. Isolated, defensible, the kind of place where questions went unanswered and visitors were discouraged with rifle sights from 600 meters. Marcus had arranged it through contacts Sarah did not ask about, former military, the kind who understood that some debts were paid in silence and shelter. Kate sat on the porch wrapped in a blanket despite the desert heat. She had not spoken since the escape, had not eaten, had barely moved except to follow Sarah from truck to house to chair. Her eyes tracked movement but saw nothing. The prison inside her mind was harder to escape than any physical cell. Sarah cleaned weapons at the table. Ritual, habit, the kind of work that kept hands busy while the mind processed impossible truths. Hale had betrayed them, had used Sarah as bait, had tried to kill both her and Kate to protect secrets Sarah still did not fully understand. But Hale was not the insider, could not be. The timeline did not work. The ambush happened in 2019. Hale had spent 5 years trying to recover Kate, had run Project Nightfall specifically to bring POWs home. Men did not spend years and resources saving someone they had tried to kill. Unless the saving was part of the cover, unless Nightfall was never about recovery, unless everything Hale had said was misdirection designed to keep Sarah from asking the right questions. Marcus entered carrying coffee, set a cup beside Sarah, took the chair across from her. She needs a doctor. She needs time. Sarah, she has been held captive for 4 years, tortured, conditioned. Whatever they did to her, it broke something fundamental. Time will not fix that. Then what will? Marcus had no answer. They sat in silence. The only sound was the scrape of Sarah's cleaning brush against gunmetal, rhythmic, soothing, the meditation of soldiers who had seen too much and learned to find peace in small, repetitive tasks. Kate spoke, first word since the facility, voice like broken glass. He is not the insider. Sarah stopped cleaning, looked up. Kate's eyes were focused now, present, aware. Hale, he is not the one who ordered the ambush. He is covering for someone, protecting them. Who? I do not know, but I heard them in the facility before you came. Hale was on the phone. He was scared, taking orders, someone higher, someone he could not refuse. Sarah moved to the porch, sat beside Kate, close but not touching, giving space, offering presence. What did you hear? He said the timeline was accelerating, said you were moving faster than anticipated, said he needed more time to contain you. The voice on the other end told him to eliminate the variable. That is what they called you, the variable. Did you recognize the voice? No, it was distorted, electronic, but the way Hale responded, the fear. This person has power, real power, not just military, something bigger. Marcus joined them. We need to go public, take everything we know to the media, CIA, Congress, someone who can investigate. We have no proof, Sarah said. No evidence, just the word of 2 dead women and a former Marine. They will bury us, again. Then what do we do? Sarah thought about the photo, the bullet casing, the note. Someone had sent them, someone who wanted her to dig, to investigate, to uncover truth. If that someone was not Kate and not Dylan, then who? The messenger, Sarah said. At Cadillac Ranch before he was shot, he said he watched Dylan die, said he was hunting, not protecting. He knew about the photo, about the faces blacked out. He was working for someone. Hale's people shot him. No, they shot him, professional shooters, 400 meters, clear sight lines. They killed him with 1 round to the head, but they did not kill me. They hurted me, controlled my movement, kept me alive. Marcus processed that. You think Hale wanted the messenger dead but you alive. I think someone wanted the messenger dead before he could tell me too much. And Hale was either helping them or trying to stop them. Either way, the messenger knew something, had information worth killing for. Kate pulled the blanket tighter. Dylan is alive. Sarah turned. What? I saw him 3 months ago at the facility. He was there talking to Hale. I was in a cell, but I could see through the window. They were arguing. Dylan wanted something. Hale refused. Dylan left. I did not see him again. Sarah's mind raced. Dylan alive. Dylan at the facility. Dylan arguing with Hale. The pieces were moving, but the picture was still incomplete. What did they argue about? I could not hear clearly, but I caught fragments. Dylan said something about exposure, about proof. about making sure the truth came out even if it destroyed them both. Hale told him to stand down, to trust the process. Dylan said the process was broken. That 5 years was long enough. 5 years, Sarah repeated. Since the ambush, Dylan has been alive this whole time, hiding, watching, waiting for something. For you, Kate said. He told Hale that you were the key, that once you knew, everything would unravel. Hale said you were buried. Dylan said the buried always rise eventually. You just have to know where to dig. Marcus stood. We are missing something, some piece that connects all this. Hale runs nightfall. Dylan is alive. Kate escapes. You get a package. Messenger gets killed. Hale tries to trap you. It all moves too fast, too coordinated, like someone is conducting an orchestra. Or playing chess, Sarah said. Moving pieces, creating pressure, forcing decisions. To what end? To expose the insider. Dylan said it himself. You have to know where to dig. He has been digging for 5 years, getting close. But he needs proof, needs a witness, needs someone the insider cannot discredit. You. Me, I was not at the ambush. I am officially dead. I have no connection to Nightfall or Hale's operations post-2019. I am clean. If I testify, if I present evidence, it carries weight. Kate's voice was stronger now. Dylan sent the package. He knew you would investigate, knew you would go to Hale, knew Hale would either help you or try to stop you. Either way, Dylan would learn which side Hale was really on. And now he knows, Marcus said. Hale tried to kill you. That answers the question. Hale is protecting the insider. Sarah shook her head. Not protecting, scared of. Kate said Hale was taking orders, following instructions. Someone has leverage on him, something that makes him do things he does not want to do. Like burying his own people. Like sacrificing 8 soldiers to expose a traitor. Like running a fake recovery program to hide the fact that he never intended to bring anyone home. Like trying to kill the one person who might finally ask why. Sarah pulled out her phone, opened the photo from the burner, Kate with the shadowy figure, military uniform, no insignia, no identifying marks, but something about the posture, the stance, the way the figure held themselves. She showed it to Kate. Do you know who this is? Kate studied the image. Her face went pale. No, but I know when it was taken, 2 weeks before I escaped. He came to the facility, inspected me like livestock, asked questions about my training, my capabilities, my breaking point. Then he left. 3 days later, Hale pulled me out, put me in different cell, started the conditioning, preparing me to kill. Kill who? The Nightfall operators, the 3 who died. Hale gave me their names, their locations, their routines, sent me out with handlers, watched me complete the missions, then brought me back, locked me up until the next one. Marcus's jaw tightened. You were a weapon. I was a test, to see if it worked, if conditioning could override loyalty, if a soldier could be turned into an assassin without consent. I was proof of concept. Sarah felt cold despite the heat. For what? For replication, the figure in the photo. He wanted to know if Hale's methods could be scaled, applied to other POWs, other prisoners. Build an army of people with no identity, no loyalty, no choice, perfect deniability, perfect control. The implication settled like lead. Someone was building a program, using POWs as raw material, testing techniques on Kate, planning to expand, and Hale was either complicit or coerced into participation. We need to find Dylan, Sarah said. He has been tracking this, has evidence, has proof. That is why the messenger died. Dylan sent him with information and someone made sure he could not deliver it. How do we find a ghost? Sarah thought about the coded message. The rally point, last light first watch, old protocols, but Dylan had not come, had sent a messenger instead. Why? Because he could not risk exposure, could not show his face, could not be seen or captured or killed before the truth came out. But he would be watching, monitoring, waiting for Sarah to take the next step. She typed a new message, same encrypted forum, different code. Crossfire, Raven has the bird, need extraction protocol, will move on your signal. The bird was Kate. Extraction protocol was Dylan's way of knowing Sarah was serious, ready to move, willing to risk everything for answers. The response came in minutes. Grid coordinates, remote location in New Mexico, Canyon Country, time stamp 600 tomorrow, come armed, come ready, this ends one way or another. Sarah showed the message to Marcus and Kate. He wants to meet, face to face. Kate shook her head. It could be a trap, someone monitoring Dylan, using his codes against him. Then I walk into a trap, but I walk in knowing, prepared, ready. Marcus checked his weapon. We walk in, all three of us. No, Kate stays here. She is not mission ready. You stay with her, keep her safe. If I do not come back, you take her to the FBI, tell them everything, make them listen. Sarah, you cannot do this alone. I have been alone for 5 years. One more day will not kill me. She packed gear, minimal, weapon, ammunition, water, first aid, the dog tags on their chain. She had carried them through 5 years of hiding, 7 ghosts on steel. Maybe tomorrow she could finally tell them the truth, give them the justice they deserved. At dawn she drove north. The landscape shifted from desert to canyon, red rock walls rising like fortresses, ancient, timeless, indifferent to human conflict. She had always found comfort in geology, in stone that remembered nothing and judged no one. The coordinates led to a mesa overlook, accessible only by dirt road, exposed, no cover, the kind of place where you could see someone coming from miles away, perfect for a meeting, perfect for an ambush. Sarah parked below, climbed on foot, weapon ready, eyes scanning, every instinct alert. The sun was behind her, long shadows stretching east, good tactical position, she had learned well. A figure stood at the edge, male, 40s, lean, scarred. He wore civilian clothes but carried himself military. When he turned, Sarah recognized the face even though she had not seen it in 5 years. Sergeant Dylan Cross, alive, older, harder, but unmistakably Dylan. Hello, Raven. Sarah stopped 20 feet away. You died, I saw the report. You saw what Hale wanted you to see. Closed casket, unidentifiable remains. Easy to fake when you have access to burn victims and friendly coroners. Why? Because I was the variable. The one Hale could not control. I saw too much, knew too much, asked too many questions, so he buried me, gave me a choice. Stay dead and help him from the shadows, or really die and accomplish nothing. Help him do what? Catch the insider, the person who ordered the ambush, who killed our team, who has been running illegal programs using POWs as test subjects. Hale knew who it was, but he could not prove it, could not act. The insider had protection, power, reach. So Hale needed someone off the books, someone dead, someone who could investigate without drawing attention. Sarah processed this. You have been hunting them for 5 years. 5 years, 3 months, 14 days, I counted everyone. And now I finally have enough evidence, enough proof, enough to end this. Who is it? Dylan pulled out a tablet, opened files, documents, photos, financial records, communication logs, the accumulated weight of 5 years of investigation compressed into digital evidence. Admiral Richard Klein, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. He sat 3 levels above Hale in the chain of command, had access to every special operations brief, every classified mission, every personnel file. He knew about Sandstorm before it happened, knew the HVT we were extracting was CIA, knew the whole mission was designed to expose illegal rendition programs. Sarah felt the pieces clicking into place. He could not let us complete it. Could not let us bring back a CIA officer who would testify about torture, about black sites, about American personnel operating outside law and oversight. So he tipped the enemy, arranged the ambush, made sure everyone died, clean, simple, no witnesses. Except you survived. Except I survived, and Kate survived, and you were not there. 3 variables he did not account for, 3 problems he spent 5 years trying to solve. Dylan showed her more files. Klein started Project Nightfall, not Hale. Hale was the front man, the fall guy if anything went wrong. Klein wanted POWs recovered not to bring them home but to study them, break them, test conditioning techniques, build a program that could turn prisoners into assets, loyal, controlled, deniable. Kate was his proof of concept. She worked perfectly, killed on command, followed orders, never questioned, never resisted until you showed up, until she saw you and something broke. The conditioning failed, and Klein realized his program had a flaw. It could be broken by emotional connection, by trust, by the bonds soldiers form. Sarah looked at the evidence. Years of work, careful documentation, everything needed to bring down an admiral, everything needed to expose corruption at the highest levels. Why show me this now? Because you are the only one who can deliver it. You are dead, no career to protect, no advancement to worry about. No one can threaten you with consequences because you officially do not exist. You can walk into Congress, into the media, into the public eye, and you can tell the truth without fear. They will discredit me. They will try, but I have corroboration, documents, witnesses, financial trails, everything needed to prove the story. You just have to be willing to tell it. Sarah thought about 5 years of hiding, 5 years of silence, 5 years of carrying ghosts she could not bury, the weight of survival when everyone else died, the guilt of absence when presence might have changed everything. If I do this, I can never go back, never disappear again. My face will be everywhere. My story will be public. I will spend the rest of my life answering questions. Yes, but our team will finally have justice. Kate will finally be free, and Klein will finally face consequences for what he did. Sarah looked east. The sun was climbing, burning off shadow, exposing the landscape in harsh clarity. Truth was like that. It destroyed comfortable darkness, left nowhere to hide. Went. Now, today, I have a contact at the Washington Post, investigative journalist. She has been waiting for this story, waiting for proof. I give her the files, you give her the testimony. It goes public tomorrow, too big to bury, too documented to deny. Sarah nodded. What about Hale? Hale gets immunity. He cooperated, provided resources, kept me alive when Klein wanted me dead. He made mistakes, but he tried to make them right. That counts for something. And you? I stay dead, safer that way. Klein has allies, people who will want revenge. I keep working, keep watching, make sure this never happens again. Dylan handed her the tablet. Everything is here, encrypted, password protected. Only you can unlock it. Only you can decide if the truth is worth the cost. Sarah took the device, felt its weight, physical and metaphorical. This was the choice. Visibility or invisibility, truth or safety, justice or peace. She thought about Kate, about the hollow look in her eyes, about 4 years in hell, about conditioning that turned a soldier into a weapon, about the moment Kate chose Sarah over programming, chose friendship over control. She thought about the 7 dog tags around her neck, about the families who buried empty caskets, about parents who deserved to know their children died not in combat but in betrayal, about the lie that had stood for 5 years because no one dared tell the truth. She thought about Dylan, about 5 years of hunting, of living in shadows, of sacrificing everything to chase justice that might never come. The choice was not difficult, it was just final. I will do it. Dylan smiled, first real emotion she had seen, relief, gratitude, hope. Thank you. Do not thank me yet, this might destroy us both. Some things are worth being destroyed for. They stood together on the mesa, 2 ghosts, 2 survivors, 2 variables that refused to be eliminated. The wind carried dust across stone. The sun climbed higher. The world turned indifferent to their small human drama. But somewhere in that indifferent world were people who cared, who deserved truth, who needed justice, and Sarah was going to give it to them. She drove back to the safe house. Kate was on the porch. Marcus was cleaning weapons. They looked up when she arrived, saw her face, knew something had changed. I found Dylan. He gave me everything. Evidence against Admiral Klein, the insider, the one who ordered the ambush. Tomorrow I go public. Tell the whole story, expose the program, bring it all down. Kate stood, walked to Sarah, looked her in the eyes. Are you sure? No, but I am doing it anyway. What do you need from us? Kate needs to testify. Confirm the conditioning, describe the program, show the world what they did to her. I know it will be hard. I know reliving it will hurt. But your voice matters. Your story proves everything. Kate nodded slowly. I can do that for the team. For the ones who did not make it, I can be strong enough. Marcus joined them. What about me? You keep us alive long enough to tell the story. Watch our backs. Make sure Klein's people do not eliminate us before we go public. Think you can handle that? I have handled worse. Sarah made the call. The journalist Dylan had mentioned. 30 seconds of conversation. Confirmation. Agreement. Meeting scheduled for tomorrow in Washington. Public location. Cameras. Witnesses. The kind of visibility that made assassination difficult. That night Sarah slept for the first time in days. Real sleep, deep, dreamless. The sleep of someone who had made a decision and accepted its consequences. The weight was still there. The ghosts were still present, but they felt lighter, as if knowing justice was coming had given them permission to rest. At dawn they drove east. 3 people in a truck crossing desert toward a city where truth would finally have its day. Sarah watched the sunrise paint the mountains gold, thought about how light always followed darkness, how exposure always followed hiding, how truth always rose eventually if you knew where to dig. Washington appeared on the horizon at dusk, the capital, the heart of power, the place where decisions were made that shaped the world. Sarah had avoided it for 5 years, had stayed invisible, had made herself irrelevant. Now she was driving straight into the center, armed with evidence, ready to speak, prepared to burn every bridge she had built in the shadows. The meeting was in a coffee shop, public, busy. The journalist sat in the corner, 40, professional, sharp eyes that had seen lies and learned to recognize truth. Sarah handed her the tablet, explained the encryption, gave the password. The journalist spent an hour reviewing files. Her expression changed from skepticism to shock to fury. She looked up finally, met Sarah's eyes. This is legitimate, all of it. Documents, communications, financial records. This will end careers, destroy reputations. People will go to prison. Good. Are you prepared for what comes next? Media attention, congressional hearings, death threats. Your life will never be private again. I have not had a private life for 5 years. I have had a hidden life. There is a difference. I am tired of hiding. The journalist turned to Kate. You are willing to testify, on record, with your face and name attached. Kate's voice was steady. I am willing. What they did to me, what they did to others, it cannot stand, it cannot continue. If my story stops it, then it is worth telling. The journalist nodded. I will run this tomorrow. Front page. Digital edition goes live at 6 a.m. Print hits newsstands at 7. By noon, every media outlet in the country will be covering it. By evening, Congress will be demanding investigations. By next week, people will be arrested. Will it be enough? Sarah asked. Will it actually change anything? The journalist considered that. I do not know. Power protects itself. But sometimes the truth is loud enough to overcome the protection. Sometimes the evidence is strong enough that even the powerful cannot hide. This might be one of those times. Sarah stood, shook the journalist's hand. The transaction was complete. The truth had been handed off. Tomorrow it would belong to the world, for better or worse. Whatever came next was beyond Sarah's control. They returned to the truck, drove to a hotel, checked in under fake names. Tomorrow those names would not matter. Tomorrow Sarah Vance would be front page news. But tonight she was still anonymous, still invisible. One last night before exposure. Kate sat on the bed. Do you think it will work? I think we are about to find out. What if they bury it anyway? What if Klein has enough power to stop the story? Then we tried, and trying matters, even when it fails. Marcus stood at the window, watching the street. We should assume Klein knows, should assume he is moving assets, preparing response. We are not safe here. We are not safe anywhere, but here we can see them coming. That counts for something. The night passed slow. Sarah did not sleep. She sat at the window watching the city, thinking about the team, about 7 people who died believing their mission mattered, 7 people who never knew they were pawns in someone else's game, 7 people who deserved better than unmarked graves and official lies. Tomorrow they would get better. Not enough, never enough, but something, recognition, justice, truth. At 6 a.m. Sarah's phone lit up. Notifications, dozens, then hundreds. The story had dropped. The journalist had delivered. The truth was live. She opened the article. Read the headline. Dead Navy SEAL exposes illegal POW program. Admiral implicated in murder. 5-year COVERUP revealed. The story was thorough, documented, devastating. Every claim backed by evidence. Every accusation supported by files Dylan had gathered. Sarah's photo was there. Kate's testimony included. The whole ugly truth laid bare for the world to see. Within an hour, the networks picked it up. Cable news, morning shows, social media. The story spread like fire through dry brush. Unstoppable, undeniable. By noon, the Navy issued a statement. Investigation pending. Admiral Klein placed on administrative leave. Calls for congressional hearings. Demands for accountability. By evening, Klein was in custody, arrested, charged. The protection had failed. The power had crumbled. The truth had been louder than the lies. Sarah watched it unfold from the hotel room. Surreal, detached, like watching someone else's life on screen, but it was hers, her face, her words, her truth. Kate sat beside her. We did it. You did it. You were willing to testify, to tell your story. That took more courage than anything I did. We both did it, together, the way teams are supposed to work. Marcus brought coffee. Phone has been ringing, media requests, interview offers, book deals. Everyone wants a piece of the story. Tell them no, the story is out, that is enough. But it was not enough. Over the following days, the investigation expanded. More arrests, more revelations. Other POWs came forward, other victims. The program had been larger than anyone knew. More people implicated, more careers destroyed. Sarah testified before Congress. Closed session. She told them everything, answered every question, left nothing unsaid. When she finished, the committee chair thanked her for her service, for her courage, for her sacrifice. Sarah did not feel courageous. She felt tired, relieved, empty in the way containers are empty after being drained. The weight she had carried for 5 years was gone, transferred, distributed, no longer hers alone to bear. The trial came 6 months later. Admiral Klein faced 15 charges: murder, conspiracy, obstruction. The evidence was overwhelming. The verdict was inevitable: guilty on all counts. Life in prison without possibility of parole. Sarah attended sentencing, sat in the gallery beside Kate and Marcus, watched Klein stand before the judge. His face was composed, defiant, unrepentant. The judge asked if he had anything to say. Klein looked at Sarah, met her eyes. "You should have stayed buried." Sarah did not respond, did not need to. Klein was the one going into a cage. She was the one walking out free. After the trial, Sarah visited Arlington, the cemetery where her team was buried. 7 graves, 7 names. The caskets were still empty. The remains had never been fully identified, but the names were there now, public, acknowledged, honored. She placed dog tags on each grave, returned them to their owners, spoke to each one, told them the truth was out, justice was served. Their deaths had not been forgotten. At her own grave she stopped. The headstone still bore her name, still listed her as killed in action. The Navy had offered to remove it, to correct the record. Sarah had declined. Let it stand. A reminder that some people die and come back. Some truths get buried and rise again. Some ghosts refuse to stay silent. Kate joined her. They stood together. 2 women who had survived when survival should have been impossible. 2 variables that refused to be eliminated. "What now?" Kate asked. "Now we live, really live, not hiding, not running, just living." "Think we know how?" "No, but we can learn." They walked away from the graves, toward the future, uncertain, visible, free. Marcus waited at the car. Where to? Sarah thought about that. She had no home, no identity beyond the public one, no plan beyond the next breath, but she had something she had not had in 5 years. Joyce. Somewhere quiet, somewhere we can figure out who we are when we are not fighting. They drove west, away from Washington, away from the spotlight, toward open country, toward possibility. The road stretched ahead, empty, inviting. Behind them the Capitol faded, the graves receded, the ghosts settled into memory, not forgotten, but no longer haunting, just present, acknowledged, part of the story but not the whole story. Sarah looked at the horizon, thought about the empty casket that had held her name, about the 7 caskets that held ghosts, about the 8th person who had survived and finally told the truth. The caskets were closed now, the story was finished, the mission was complete. But the living had to keep living, had to find meaning beyond the mission, purpose beyond the fight, identity beyond the uniform. Sarah did not know who she was anymore, did not know what came next, did not know if redemption was possible for someone who survived when others died. But she was willing to find out, willing to try, willing to walk into an uncertain future with nothing but hope and the company of people who understood. The truck rolled west, the sun climbed higher, the desert opened before them like a promise. 7 caskets, 1 empty. The math had never been about death. It had been about survival, about the burden of being the one who walked away, about the responsibility to tell the story when everyone else was silenced. Sarah had told it, had paid the price, had earned her freedom. Now she just had to learn how to use it. The road stretched ahead, and Sarah Vance, dead woman walking, ghost no longer, drove toward whatever came next with her eyes open and her hands steady and her ghosts finally at rest. This story hit different when I researched what actually happens to operators declared KIA without recovered remains. The empty casket isn't just dramatic, it's real. Families bury flags and memories while questions haunt them for decades. Sarah's 5-year silence mirrors countless veterans who have carried secrets they can't share. That weight, it's why I tell these stories. What struck you most? Kate's conditioning, Dylan's patient hunt, or Hale's impossible position? Drop your thoughts below. And if this one got you, the next mission drops Friday. The scope reveals what uniforms hide. Hit subscribe. Some stories deserve witnesses.